Wayne Dyer said, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. And he really hit the nail on the head. And I just want to go one step further and say that if you master your mind, you can master your life. And so what do I mean by that? We are constantly, from the moment we wake up to when we go to sleep, we have thoughts going on in our head. Our thoughts that sometimes can be up to 10,000 plus a day going on are recycled thoughts from the day before and the things that have happened. And so unless you are learning something new, you're just going to be recycling the same thoughts every day, every year, with whatever growth or what's happening in your world. And most people, they get lost in their mind. They get lost in the narrative, in the stories of what the mind tells them about what's happening. But learning to master your mind, the first step is to become aware and understand that you are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are simply an accumulation of everything that has happened in your life up until this point. And that's all they are. And also having the understanding that everything you see around you in your physical 3D world is purely a reflection, a mirror of what's going on in your subconscious mind. And so sometimes what can happen, we can have a real big shift or a quantum leap in our thoughts and our feelings and our energy. And people can think, well, why is my outside world not changing? Well, that's because the conscious mind moves quicker than hard matter on this physical plane. So those things can take time. But the most important thing is to just realize that if you can get to the point of being aware of your thoughts, and how I personally did this is I set a reminder for every hour of when I was awake. It drove my kids mad. They got to the point where they really just couldn't bear the noise of that alarm anymore. And the alarm reminder was, what are you thinking in the past, in the present, or in the future? And what I wanted to do is I was trying to catch myself out to find out how often am I actually just getting so lost in the mind. And when we get lost in the mind, it's like when we are in a dream and we don't realize we're dreaming. That's what it's like when we get lost in the mind. We are completely just going along with life happening to us rather than becoming the conscious creator of our life. So the first step is understand you're not your thoughts and to become aware of your thoughts. So once you start to become aware of your thoughts and understand that you are not your thoughts, you actually can then become detached from your thoughts. And what I mean by becoming detached from your thoughts is understanding you are not your thoughts. So just observe them like you're watching a film. You know, you might be lost in there for a moment, but you are not the film. And it's the same with your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. Because as soon as you can even get to that point, which sounds so easy, and it's probably the hardest step because, you know, you're having to undo a lifetime of just following along with the mind and not realizing that you're not your thoughts. So you're having to completely reprogram that. But once you can master that, I'm telling you now, you are on your way. Because the next step after mastering your mind and realizing that you are not your thoughts is then you can start to replace the most frequent common thoughts that you have that do not serve you for the direction of what you want. Now, I'm a very, very big believer, and I just know that only speaking to existence what you want, only think about what you want to create. Because, you know, if anybody's watching any of my previous videos, you understand I had an ayahuasca experience where I was able to see energy. I was able to see how every thought, feeling, word, how we held ourselves, everything, how it created this 3D world. And so when you understand and are aware of the common thoughts and you give yourself the tools of what you can replace them with, you actually can start to control and be more of a director of your life, in mastering your life and guiding what direction you actually want your life to go into. Instead of life happening to you, you actually get to control life coming through you, because that is what's happening. Life is coming through us, but it's whether we are allowing it consciously or it's happening unconsciously. And when you start mastering your mind, and you start to replace the common thoughts that are not serving you for your highest purpose and for the direction of the life that you want to go into, then you can start replacing and making new neural pathways. Now, I'm a very big believer in just learning, because when you learn so much, especially when you hear the same thing repeated over and over again, but in different ways, it actually helps to create new neural pathways. And then if you want to start working with the subconscious mind directly, you can do that through sleep, and you can do that with reprogramming. Because when we were up until the age of 7, our brain was in a theta brainwave state, which basically meant that we were in a hypnotic state and we believed everything that was said to us. And the only time as an adult we're in that state is when we're sleeping. So that is the quickest way to reprogram your mind. But I do believe it's better to do both. It's better to just come, if you want a quick change, it's really better to do things from every angle. But mastering your mind, I think, is definitely the biggest one, because the same situation can be experienced by can be witnessed by two people, but they can experience it completely differently. Even to think of a roller coaster ride, two people on a roller coaster ride can experience it completely different, even though they're going through the motion and doing the same thing, because everything is experienced in here. So this is why I say, if you master your mind, you can master your life. So even a simple situation that could happen, whether it's at work, whether it's with your children, whether it's in a relationship, anything at all that's happening outside of you, when you understand that you're not your thoughts, when you have the detachment from your thoughts and you don't get carried away with them, when you then can replace your thoughts because you know that they're not serving you, you know that they're coming from the past, you actually can change your complete perspective of a situation, which is why Wayne Dyer understood and why he said, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So as an example, I'm trying to think of something off the top of my head. Let's say somebody is a drug addict, an alcoholic, and this alcoholic is verbally aggressive to you. And so initially, if you're going from the old mind, the thoughts, the feelings, the patterns, the reaction, the mindset could be, oh, this, I don't know, this bum or this drunk, he's X, Y, Z, you know, some kind of negative emotions and feelings and thoughts towards him. But then when you change the narrative in your head and you understand, no, actually, these are the stories that we've been told about people like that through films, through the television, you know, all other media. If you want, and then when you actually can change that to, okay, now really let's think about this person. Imagine the life that somebody had to get to have all that anger inside, that they want to verbally attack somebody. Wow, imagine the trauma that they must have gone through in life to be at the point where they're now an alcoholic. Like, that sounds actually quite hard. So can you see that when you are in control of what's going on with the narrative in your mind, you get to control how you experience life? And this is massive, especially because so many people are stressed, they're depressed, they're just not happy, they're burnt out, they're on the go all the time, there's no time to process. So if you can learn to master your mind, you literally can master every experience of your life. It literally can flip it the whole way round. And trust me, I'm talking from experience when I share about this, through my own life and just listening to lots and lots of books. And, you know, I've come to the point in my life where I am literally happy all the time. I mean, of course, I occasionally get triggered. Usually that can be with my child, my oldest, sometimes one of my youngest, but never to the point of, being reactive or getting really angry or anything like that, because I'm able to just take a breath and think about what's going on up here and switch what's going on up here in the moment. And so that's what happens. It no longer gets to the point where you have to wait until, that what's it called, oh sorry, I can't think of the word, when it's happened and then you look back and you reflect back on what happened. Hindsight, that's it. You no longer have to wait to learn and grow with hindsight. You actually can instantly, in the moment, and be able to turn things around. And so that is the amazing thing about mastering your mind, as well as just changing the whole experience of your life. Anyway, I'm going to leave that here. And yeah, really, everything you learn, everything you watch, everything you listen to, just at least take one thing and put it into action. I've said this before, but if you're only listening and you're not putting anything into action, you just become a philosopher and you know a lot of stuff. But to really change your life, which is why you would listen to this, and which is why other people will be listening to other self-development things, because they want to change, they have that desire to change. So don't just listen, take something and action it, even if it's just the alarm, setting off an alarm and finding out, yeah, where are my thoughts, well, what am I doing up here, what's going on, even if it's just that, to start to have more awareness of what's going on in the narrative in your mind. All right, so much love and blessings.